Namaste and good evening, everyone. Welcome to the NENCID Talk program. My name is Jigyasha Rai Yangkhurung, an Executive Committee member of Nepal National Committee on Irrigation and Drainage NENCID. NENCID has been organizing this talk program as a part of Irrigation and Drainage Talk series, which takes place every second Tuesday of every month according to Bikram Samvat calendar. And today's event is 18th episode of the series. We will share the information regarding the 19th episode at the end of this event. So please stay with us till the end. Please follow our Facebook page, Nepal National Committee on Irrigation and Drainage, where we share different informations like these events. Likewise, please subscribe us on YouTube, NENCID Nepal. We upload the videos of all the episode of these NENCID Talk program on YouTube. So if you want to check the past episode, they are all available in our channel. Thank you for providing your love and support to this program. If you have any suggestions or comments or feedbacks on how we can improve it and make it even better, then please write to us at nencid.nepal@gmail.com. Now, before starting the main event, I would like to state some of the ground rules. Today's session will be an hour long. First, 25 minutes will be a presentation, which will be followed by question and answer and discussion round. During the session, please kindly mute your microphone. And we would like to encourage you to maximize the use of chat box to ask questions or comments or to express your viewpoints. In order to share your opinions verbally, please unmute yourself before speaking. Now, with this brief background, I'd like to invite Professor Dr. Vishnu Pandey from Institute of Engineering, Pulchowk Campus, who is also an executive committee member of NENCID, to introduce the speaker and moderate the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We would like to welcome you all again in this session, the 18th episode of this Our Talk series. Can you go to next slide, please? We are pleased to have Dr. Rajit Ojha, who is WAS expert and senior divisional engineer with the Department of Water Supply and Sewerage Management, as a speaker today. He will be talking about management information system in the water sector, learning from the WAS sector. Dr. Ojha is well known to many of us. He is a water supply and sanitation engineer with over 1.5 decades of experience in WAS. He has specialized experience in WAS governance, localization of SDGs, specifically SDG 6.1 and 6.2. He is also involved in developing guidelines, legal frameworks to achieve WAS financing of Nepal. He has coordinated with more than 20 development partners, including UNICEF, ADB, World Bank, DFI, WHO, and many others. He is also involved in assessing sanitation information gap in existing management information system. During 2014 to 19, he served as a disaster risk management section chief of Department of Water Supply and Sewerage Management, where he was a focal person from government side in building disaster and climate risk preparedness, prevention, mitigation, and adaptation in WAS. He was a WAS cluster lead with Nepal, while Nepal was recovering from 2015 earthquake. Dr. Ojha completed his PhD in engineering from University of Yamanashi in 2019. He has published extensively in the broader area of the WAS, actually in water pricing, tariff, financial implication, environmental economics, and so on. With this very, very brief background of Dr. Ojha, now please join with me in welcoming Dr. Ojha for today's talk. Rajitji, now the floor is yours. Let me stop it. Yeah. I think you should be able to share your screen. Would you please try it?
Am I audible now?
Yes. Jigyasha, we may need to make him co-host.
My screen sharing is disabled. So
just a minute, please. Yeah, I think it should be shareable now. Can you try, please?
Yeah.
Great. And you have around 25 minutes for your presentation. So it will be approximately 30 minutes by that time. And then we will have another half an hour for discussion plus short closing.
Okay.
Will that be okay?
Yeah.
and either of us will help you and keep the time by alert, maybe giving an alarm that, okay, you are about to, your time is about to over. Okay. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the introduction. Thank you very much for the irrigation whole NENCID team for providing me the opportunity to present the decision support system that we are trying to build now. It is called National Water Supply Sanitation and Hygiene Management Information System. So I think it's one of a kind inside the water sector. So I think it is a good practice to share it among you colleagues to develop the irrigation MIS, and maybe there are a few data sets that we can learn from each other and share each other during the process also. So we started doing this because we were provided the constitutional responsibility of central data management. When we started doing this, because we don't have the office now after post-federalization in all local governments, so the data collection, update and use has been given, the responsibility has been given to the local government. Similarly, the validation and use has been given to provincial government, and the MIS related guidelines, update and use has been given to the central government, so federal government. So basically, all the three layers of government are involved in creating these data sets and updating this management information system, whereas the major responsibility goes to the local level. That comes with the challenge that the local level needs to be capacitated in doing so. So we are extensively doing the work on that one also. The idea of starting this initiative is to localize the sustainable development goals, try to assess the government's capacity in terms of WASH planning, monitoring of the projects and reporting as per SDG requirements, to assess the gaps and to be prepared for the future. So when we started doing this, we identified like there are major three challenges that we need to work on inside the local government to be able to roll out the management information system. First, we need to identify that the local government has the shortage of information in terms of SDG 6.1 and 6.2. They don't know how much to invest to reach the goals, and their institutional capacity is not up to the mark to reach the SDG 6.1 and 6.2. So the management information system should have all the three components. We should be able to provide them the information. We should be able to tell them how much investment is required to reach the SDG 6.1 and 6.2. And similarly, we should be able to assess the institutional capacity of those local governments to be able to roll out the projects, WASH projects, to ensure the SDGs. Based on that, we made the guiding principles on how to do the works, and then we made the estimation manuals to roll out the M&E frameworks, and the system is now able to provide the overall draft report to achieve the SDG 6.1 and 6.2 for all local governments, which will make the local government's job easier. We came up with few guiding principles for the local government, that how you should go on this one. The first one is leaving no one behind, that the financing instrument should be such that it would make the whole WASH facility accessible and affordable to everyone, including the marginalized community. And local government should be aware that some of the marginalized groups, even operational cost might become the cause to limit access to the facilities. This leaving no one behind might be translated inside the irrigation as well, because sometimes the paying fee also will not be enough for the agricultural practices as well, to the farmers as well. So we need to identify whom we are trying to reach the services and how we are going to charge them also. The second one is the monitoring of the service that need to be done from the local government. The national MIS portal will be accessed by all local governments and then provincial government and federal government. But local government should be able to know and should be aware about how the service level is designated and how they are planning to provide the services, and they should monitor it accordingly. The overall data comes in the form of first the data comes in the form of raw data from the mobile applications, and they are analyzed, and that goes in the form of information to the local governments. There are a few tweakings and areas that we did. which was not in the previous MIS. The first one was, firstly, we were taking as the system as the functionality indicators. Let's say if one system is providing, for example, inside Kathmandu, the KUKL is providing more than 2 million people, and in Jajarkot there may be one system with two taps only. But those both systems were treated as the same weightage in the previous MIS. But now what we did was we're going to the tap level to assess the functionality of the taps. And according to that, we are able to identify which are the population that are getting the services in terms of water supply services and which are not getting the services in terms of water supply services, because having the system alone will not guarantee the people will get the service. So we need to identify the functionality of that system in terms of the last let's say the last serving units. In our case it is tap, and maybe in irrigation case it will be like the farmer or the farmland that we are trying to reach. So here we are trying to identify whether the water is coming in that tap or not. Maybe in the irrigation case, we need to identify whether the water is present in that farmland or not as the output, or maybe we can go in the form of impact and try to see how much of the agricultural products are generated in that farmland to assess in our MIS that we can do inside our MIS. Similarly, we need to be aware about the institutional setups that who are going to update those data sets. In our case, we have given the local governments the responsibility to collect the data sets, to update the data sets. And now what we are trying to do is we're trying to build the capacity of the local governments. And also we are trying to make some kind of performance-based grants inside the local government so that the local government would be motivated enough to provide us the updated data. So similar kind of practices can be done inside the irrigation department and inside irrigation MIS as well, to see whether the local government is capable enough to provide you the irrigation related data, how you will build the capacity of the local government to get that data, or maybe if you have the offices in all areas, how do that office collects the data and whether their capacity is enough to get those data. Similarly, the capacity development is very important that I mentioned. Whoever is providing the data, their capacity needs to be developed in a periodical basis to ensure that the data is collected. Also, local governments should be aware about the emergency situation where the water supply and sanitation services need to be continued, because it is a lifeline service. So that needs to be continued during all situations, including the emergency and disasters. So that kind of setup should be inside the local government. The priority setup for the projects are done by the local governments. In our case, they know how much of the project are inside that local government area, and they will set up the priority, which are their prioritized areas. We have tried to build this MIS under the life cycle cost assessment to give the life cycle cost assessment of all those projects, because we identified that having the capital expenditure only or having the capital investment only will not ensure the sustainability of the systems, because that is only the tip of the iceberg, and mostly the expenditure that are required to run and operate the systems are mostly hidden. So these hidden costs need to be analyzed inside the MIS to see how much expenditure will be required to operate those systems. So it will include the capital expenditures, and then to maintain those expenditure, to maintain those capitals, the capital maintenance expenditure, to operate those systems, operational expenditure, and for the capacity building and other things, the direct support cost. Monitoring of evaluation and reporting should be done as in the global framework of SDG 6.1 and 6.2. So our goal means, in our case, it talks about the universal equitable access to safe and affordable drinking water, where all the words have the specific meanings, and all those words comes up with certain requirement of the financings. So we have tried to identify how we will calculate the financing to reach this SDG goal 6.1. Similarly, for the 6.2, Also, we talk about the access to equitable sanitation for all, paying special attention to the needs of women and girls. So we are trying to identify the cost associated with all these indicators. So based on that, wherever we are in terms of service ladders, we are trying to reach the safely managed water supply services, which will include the improved source, then available when needed. In our case, we have taken it as the 24-hour supply. Similarly, meeting the basic needs, the needs that is that suffice for the water supply service, which is available for drinking, cooking, washing, and all other practices. And that should be free from microbiology and priority chemical contaminants. So to analyze overall financing, we need to identify whether their source is improved or not. What will be the cost required to make those systems 24 hours, to make those systems meeting the basic needs, and finally whether they have the treatment systems available or not, whether the quality is checked on operational basis or not. So these kind of areas we need to calculate in terms of financing. Similar case we have done for the safely managed sanitation services as well. So what we do now, what we do inside the system is the profiling is done through the different mobile applications, and then the goal setting, local government does the goal setting, but the boundary condition has been set by ourselves, saying 2030 you need to finish all these indicators, you need to achieve all these indicators, and then based on that the system develops the activities in the form of projects, and finally the prioritization of projects and gap will be identified by the local government itself. So we are using it to improve the efficiency of those systems as well. For example, if certain supplies is not provided by the utilities, let's say for example water user committee, that may be because of the two major criteria. That may be because their system is not able to generate that much of production, or although the system is able to generate those productions, their management capacity is not enough to maximize the products. So the operation and management efficiency also has been checked to the 18 indicators, such as asset management, the financing indicators, such as how they keep on the accounts, how much is the non-revenue water, how they measure the non-revenue water, how do they handle the grievances, whether they have the mechanism present for the grievances or not. So these kind of operational efficiency indicators are also included inside the MIS. And based on that, we're trying to provide the performance-based grant now as a project in terms of utility upgradation project. We're trying to formulate the utility upgradation project to ensure the better performing utility will get the grants. So we're also planning the grant mechanism to the local governments. Wherever they provide us the updated data, we're trying to provide them the grants after providing the updated data. So these overall data set can be used by 4 layers. First, the WAS utility can access this data and can create the vision to reach how much they want to reach by 2030. And based on that indicators, we are trying to give the utilities a business plan as per their vision. For example, they will be able to know how much the tariff will be required to achieve those services. How much the tariff will be required, how much loan they need to take, and how much the grant they will be expecting to achieve the SDG goals. That will be for the WAS utility. Similarly, for the local government, WAS plan will be developed. SDG they can report. They can identify the investment options. Now what we are trying to do in the next phase is we're trying to identify the material requirements. For example, how much skilled labor will be required by 2030 to reach the SDG 6.1 and 6.2 inside that local governments. So that will create the different avenue for the local government to develop the capacity. For example, if they require like 100 plumbers, then they can have the communication, or they can have the MOU with the CTVTs and try to develop the plumbers within their local government. So that will act as the decision support system in terms of material requirements and labor requirements. Similarly, federal and provincial government can do the sector development plan revision and tracking according to these all data sets. They can monitor the SDGs. They can identify the investment options and develop the result-based financing. They can develop the guideline and policy based on these MIS. Now we are covering the data set of water supply. Inside the water supply, we are taking the existing water supply for the system improvement. We are also taking the new and ongoing water supply to know where they will be starting the production. And we are also taking the tubers inside the shallow tubers inside Tarai region to assess whether the tubers are providing the safely managed water supply services to the concerned communities or not. Similarly, for the sanitation, we have taken the household data to know whether the toilets are in place, whether their toilets are up to the standards or not. Similarly, the safely managed will be assessed from the fecal sludge management schemes and wastewater schemes to know whether the wastewater is managed safely or not. Similarly, we are taking the data of washing schools, including solid waste management, sanitation, water and hygiene. Washing public places are also, we are taking the data set of washing public places from such as public toilets. Washing healthcare facility data are also taken in terms of water, sanitation, hygiene, solid waste management, and environmental cleaning. These all indicators we have developed looking after the joint monitoring program indicator that was developed by UNICEF and WHO and has been used globally. So all these are aligned with that JMP indicators, and we have shared those indicators to NPC to tell about our performance in a national scale as well. So you can access the website on nwash.mows.gov.np. We have more than 11 apps to collect the data sets. We collect the data sets. All the data sets are geo-enabled system data, where structural and non-structural data are present. Those raw data are uploaded inside the server, and you will get the processed and structured data and analysis. So till now, we have collected the data of 13,000, more than 13,000 water supply schemes, more than 13,000 schools, more than 3,000 community sanitation schemes. The household level sanitation, more than 1 million households, more than 2,000 public places, more than 3,500 healthcare facility related data. And we have identified the unserved communities for the water supply services. There are more than 8,000 communities. We have identified the geolocation of those communities. So these are the data sets that we have collected inside the water supply scheme. These are the water supply inventories, which collects the source related data, which collects the reservoir tank related data, which collects the pipeline related data, break pressure tank, and up to the tap. So these all are the georeference data which can be used for the asset management in upcoming purposes. So once we start looking at these, we can also collab with the climate indicator and see which of the assets are vulnerable and which are not, and how much financing will be required to mitigate those vulnerabilities. So this kind of analysis can be done from these data sets. Similarly, as I told you earlier, we have identified the we are told that 94% have the system coverage inside the inside Nepal in terms of water supply facilities. So we need to identify where actually are those 6%, and we have started tracking those unreached population, and that has become easier because of the georeferencing. Similarly, we migrated the historical arsenic data set, which was that these data were collected during the 2011, but as the data of arsenic is still relevant, they don't change the data pattern till now. So we migrated those data set and put it inside our system. We have started taking the water quality data also that is linked with the inventory data set. For example, if someone goes to the tap of some person and collects the sample for the water quality, that data also comes as a georeference data inside the system. So this is day-to-day residual chlorine data that I'm providing you. Some areas we have not seen the residual chlorine. Some areas they are in the limit, and some there are not. So once these data, we start getting these data, we'll be able to identify which are the vulnerable population in terms of water quality. Similarly, this is the fecal contamination related data that some of the agencies have provided. These data set, as I told you earlier, we are using to improve the operational and management efficiency of the utilities also. We have used it as the, we have tried to plot it inside the graph to see where they are lacking, whether they are lacking in terms of level and quality of water supply services, or whether they are lacking in terms of operation and management efficiency. So we're trying to dissect the problem inside the utilities and trying to provide them the solution. For example, if they are lagging in terms of this horizontal axis, the capital investment is not going to work. The capacity development, we should provide them the more capacity development. Whereas if they are lagging in the vertical axis, there the capital investment will be required to build the system, to provide the treatment unit. So these kind of services will come only after the capital investment. So this initiative is still evolving and we can grow together. We are tracking the data coming inside the system. We are tracking that one also. And we are not alone in doing it. Lot of agencies who are working on the WAS sector are doing the data profile collection on behalf of local governments. So this is a kind of a sectoral approach. Whoever is providing the data is feeding inside the system. I'm not sure about how the irrigation department is getting the development partners, but WAS is quite fortunate to get a lot of development partners to work on it. But now we are trying to get all the information inside this one box to see the combined effect inside the WAS supply services. So this MIS is also kind of a evolution inside. We are evolving. So first, overall, MIS was perceived as the monitoring and evaluation system for the functionality and sustainability. So that was initiated from the World Bank support, but soon we realized that can be developed into the decision support system. So we integrated and we analyzed, we formulated the analysis pattern inside the system to formulate the WASH plan of all local governments with the help of UNICEF. Then we added the water quality module with the help of WHO. Then we are trying to formulate now the utility efficiency improvements and business plan of utilities and tariff calculators through the Asian Development Bank support. We are still in conversation with World Bank to formulate the market dashboard and the sanitation benchmarking and the governance assessment of local governments to see whether they have the institutional capacity to run those systems or not. So this has got the sectoral acceptance and recognition in the form of all sectoral stakeholders have come together to initiate to help us in this initiative. This was praised in Sanitation and Water for All platform, demonstrated in Sanitation and Water for All, and also we have presented it to Cambodia government. Now we are presenting it to Ethiopian government and Zimbabwean government to provide them how the SDG 6.1 and 6.2 should be tracked. This was presented within the joint monitoring program and GLASS team members also, and has been reflected in their publications as well. This has been presented in climate forums. We have initiated their training virtually to the enumerators who are taking the data through the YouTube channel that I have provided you here. It shows more than 600, it shows more than 500 subscribers here, but we have reached more than 750 subscribers now. So it is a great learning platform for the enumerators as well. Till now, we have formulated more than 70 WASH plans of the local governments, but we are still to reach 412 local governments in terms of data collection. So lot of development partners has helped the local governments also in terms of municipal WASH collection, sensitization, supporting localization of SDG 6.1 and 6.2 WASH plan formulation, and also municipal coordination and advocacy as well. So with this, I want to thank you all for listening this our initiative. I would be happy to share you more if some curiosity or questions come up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Rajit. I think Dr. Vishnu has some other works to finish, so I'll be continuing from here to start this question and answer session. Am I audible?
Yep.
Yes, you are audible.
Yes, audible.
Okay, if any of you have any questions on this presentation, it's a very informative for us, especially to the professional working in the irrigation sector. We are really quite new in this area. Recently, we have just initiated development of enterprise data management system, which is still a long way to go to bring the system to this level. There is one question from, I think, by our Khemraj sir. Thanks for your informative presentation. Could you please shed some more lights on the mechanism of capacitating the local governments? How effective are your program?
So Can I answer now?
Yeah, please.
So, as I told you earlier, this initiative has been a kind of a evolution to us. We have identified a lot of challenges during this implementation as well. This initiative has taken, now we are in the 4th year running, doing this work. And what we have identified is without capacitating the local government, this is not going to run as we have expected. So we have a national level training center, National Water Supply and Sanitation Training Center inside the Department of Water Supply and Sewerage Management. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to assess the governance of local government in terms of water services. For example, they have the kind of a questionnaire set to self-assess their governance indicators. For example, whether they are using the National Wash MIS or not, whether they have the focal person to do the work in wash or not, whether they have the engineer present or not. So these kind of questions are there. If they have the engineers, they have the TOR of wash or not. If they have the TOR, they have the capacity to do certain works or not. If they don't have the capacity, what are the capacity gap they see? And once they do the ticking, those all information fits inside our system, and we know what kind of capacity building we need to provide to those local governments. So we now have collected more than 60 local governments those data, and we have initiated the local government's capacity strengthening program inside the National Water Supply Sanitation Training Calendar. So, and also like there are a lot of agencies which are willing to build the capacity of the local governments. So basically, more than, let's say, 500 people are being trained every year inside the local governments to run this till now. In the last 2 years, we have trained more than 1,000 people inside the local governments. Among those, I think went to the refresher training, we have seen like 30 to 35% people are capable enough to do these works, and they have started doing the work. For example, Baragadi Rural Municipality we have few success stories. Baragadi Rural Municipality had the IT staff who is now collecting the data of water quality and putting inside the system that is updated. Similar case stories are like, we have 20 to 25 those kind of case stories. What we did to capacitate the local government was we took the help of Municipal Association Network and Rural Municipality Association Network. So those programs helped us a lot, because to reach the local government as a sectoral ministry is a quite a daunting task. So because those are not inside our jurisdiction, you need to go to the Prime Minister's office, then Prime Minister's office will provide the information to Mofaga, then Mofaga will send it to the local government. So it is a very hectic channel. So we took the channel of Municipal Association and Rural Municipality Association to do the work. And we have done the MOU with them, and with the help of them, we are now capacitating the local governments. A lot of development partners are supporting us in this initiative. It has taken, it has been on for more than 1 or 1.5 years. But
well, thank you, Rajit. But I still want to get clarity on one of the aspect of this capacity development. How do you select the participants of this capacity development? Who are the persons who will be involved in this capacity development? Because this is a little technical area. So they have that quality?
What we have done is, first we have gathered the mayors and deputy mayors to shed some light on the importance of the sector. So first part that we did as the awareness. Then second awareness campaign went to the chief executive officers, and then after that they selected the focal person of WASH, and there is one critical human resource inside IT which handles all the IT information inside that local government. So we have taken those two, the WASH focal person and IT staff, to capacitate the local governments. And if they have some lab persons available, let's say in form of health workers or something, we have given them the water quality related trainings. So this way we have tried to capacitate the local governments.
Okay, thank you.
So I
have more questions on the chat box, so we can go one by one. There is a question from Rabin Malla. how is the quality of data and information ensured received in the MIS system?
So till now, what we're trying to do is after the enumerators collect the data, that data will be verified by the local government itself, and that will be approved from the local governments. And we have planned to validate those data, let's say, for example, 5% or 10% through the provincial ministry, which is responsible for WASH. We have been in contact with all the provincial ministries to do that. They have agreed on those validating those data sets. And we'll also validate the data, but up to the with the sample basis. Whatever data we get, we'll try to see the risk of those data and try to validate those data. Now, we identified that reviewing these data sets is going to be a daunting task because we'll get like a lot of flooding. We'll be flooded with the data sets. So we have tried to identify the risk of these data code because image will be also there. So we are trying to use the artificial intelligence inside the image to see whether the data and image are comparative enough or not. So that will help us to identify the red zone of the data sets, and we'll try to validate those red zones only from the federal government side. But we have only thought of that. Frontier Technology have helped us in piloting this. And they have tried to see whether using AI is possible or not inside our data set through the image recognition. If that happens, then I think the validation of the data will be very much interesting and very much easier to us also. Another question I have got is regarding the climate change. It will be challenging. So, sorry, I need to see the question. How it is connecting with the MIS system. So we identified that when you go with the climate change, having our data set only will not be enough. For example, we'll have the source discharge related data, but let's say the rainfall related data is in Department of Hydrology and Meteorology. Similarly, land use data is in another ministry. Similarly, the poverty and poverty profiles another ministry. So there need to be some kind of coordination and collaboration in between these data and in between these providers to actually assess the climate scenario of the supply, sanitation, and hygiene services. So I think we should be collaborating each other to know the climate change impact inside our systems. All the data providers need to be collaborating each other to know the climate impacts. We have been in talk with WICS so that we will be able to access all those data sets and we'll be able to analyze the climate impacts inside our systems. That falls under the IWRM related initiative of SDG 6.5, I think. So if that happens, then things related to climate change will be analyzed a lot more easier. In case of water supply and sanitation, the data are generally derived in point location. What challenges do you see from the irrigation sector to replicate such MIS data across larger domain? I think the challenge that I see in irrigation is how much big MIS you want to make. If you want to make the MIS just for the asset management, that will be a lot more easier, I think. But if you want to see it from farmers' perspective, and if you want to take the data of those all farmlands, that will be a bit difficult than the asset management. And if you want to see it in impact level, then probably you need to collaborate with the Agriculture Ministry and others also to develop the MIS. So I'm not sure how you're trying to build the MIS, but I think the first step will be to do the asset management and then to go to the farm level data informations and then to go with the impact level informations. So that will be my suggestion from my side.
I think before you move to the next question, I think I can add some points on this.
Okay.
Rajit, because I have been involved in the development of this MIS system for the irrigation sector now. Okay. Basically, the system we are developing now is a static system. It's a static system, so basically it will focus more on the asset inventory and the asset management for the time being. So we need to work more on bringing this system into the more dynamic system where we will be involved in developing the canal operational plan, all these inventory of the users, all these systems will be developed in the later stage. So I think at the moment we are in the stage of developing the inventory or the asset management only. So I think this is the position of the department now. So I think we can move to the next question from Dr. Krishna Chandra Shah. He appreciated your presentation. Have we ever considered the viability and cost of centralized water supply system compared to the decentralized system?
If I remember correctly, he is one of our professors from UNESCO IHE.
Yes.
So I have been also a student of you, sir. Great to get the appreciation from the professor. And regarding the viability of the cost, what we're trying to do now is we're trying to assess the centralized system first, such as utilities, such as water user committees, and try to see their efficiency and whether those efficiency can be improved or not in forms of their management efficiency in terms of NRW reduction and these kind of things. But if I understood your question properly, you're trying to compare it with the salotubers kind of decentralized systems. So those salotubers related information, we have the only point level information now. We have not calculated the capital investment that was done by the people themselves till now. So if some of the researchers want to do the work, there is a possibility to use our data set to get this information. But I think our data set will not be enough to get the answer of the questions that you have pointed to me. I think we are more inclined towards the centralized system because National Planning Commission has included one of the goals as 90% pipe system, that is 90% of the water should be given to centralized system. But I understand your question because if both kind of services give you the safely managed water supply services, those two needs to be compared, especially in Tarai's case, the decentralized water supply system need to be compared in terms of cost investments to know which one is more efficient. That I agree with you also. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. We still have some time, so if any participants has any specific question, you can post in the chat box or you can raise your hand to put your question to Dr. Rajit. I have, let me take this opportunity to add one more question. In your presentation, you talk about the performance-based grant. How are you managing this performance-based grant based on this MIS to the local government?
That is just in idea stage now. We are discussing with few of our colleagues inside the ministry, because once they update the system, to motivate them to update the system, we need to provide them. Let's say, for example, they have the prioritized 2 or 3 projects, which we can provide them those projects as the incentive, those projects budget as the incentive of the updated while they are updating the system. So that is the overall idea. So we're trying to include the capacity building component of local government inside that one, and then the performance-based component, and then the third component will be the assessing the market component. So if these 3 components can go in one project, I think that will be a very good project for the local government, and that will motivate them to give us the data sets also. So that is just the idea. We are also trying to initiate the performance-based grant inside the utility also. For example, if the water user committee start doing the asset management, let's say they will be eligible to get another set of incentives. So this kind of incentive indicators will be helpful, I think. So these are just in idea stage. These are just in idea stage till now. Maybe in 1 or 2 years, after all data set come, we'll be able to formulate the project out of it.
And I think you have mentioned in very brief about the aspect of incorporating the climate change component in your MIS. Have you initiated any coordination with other agencies, most probably with the DHM?
We have been in dialogue with WEX during our IWRM initiative 6.5 indicators. And WEX has, I think, started to see where actually are the data sets which incorporates the overall overall IWRM perspective. So if that comes and WIX takes the leadership, we can take like a lot of secondary data sets and try to analyze the climate related risks. And I think rather than ourselves analyzing, if that will be handed over to some academia such as IOA, Pulchowk, or TU related other institutions or KU, that will be more let's say detailed and more applicable to us. So discussion with academia is also a very integral part to assess the climate risk, I think. And the data's open access is quite a challenge in Nepal because DHM, I think DHM related data need to be paid and they are not the open data. So some kind of dialogue inside the water sector need to be done to access those data sets and to see the climate impacts inside these systems.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Rajit. I think we have no more questions, so we really appreciate your sharing your experience or sharing the system that you have been developing in your sector, and hopefully we will be in a position to develop such kind of system in the other sector as well, most probably in the irrigation sector. So we'll be in regular touch with you to
thank you for the opportunity.
Details.
Thank you for the opportunity. Probably I think next round we'll be able to I will be able to showcase you some of the systems demo as well. That will, I think, answer a lot of questions.
Okay, that will be great. So, I think with this, I would like to appreciate and thank you very much for your presentation. Now we have no more questions. So in this, I would like to conclude this presentation and like to invite Jigyasha. Are you there? Maybe you can make an announcement for the next episode.
Yes, I'm here. Let me share my screen first. So the next episode is episode 19 of this NENCID talk program, and Dr. Santosh Nepal, who is a researcher, water resource and climate change from International Water Management Institute, IMI, is going to give a presentation on water, energy, food ecosystem nexus, challenges for operationalizing nexus in Nepal. So this will be held on 10th March 2017 in Bikram Sammat, which is 24th January 2023. This will be the second Tuesday of March, and the time will be regular 8 p.m. Nepal time. So we invite you all to this next episode and join us, and please share this event to all your networks. If you have any suggestions or comments, please visit us at Department of Water Resources and Irrigation or email us at nencid.nepal@gmail.com. Thank you so much for your presentation. Thank you so much for your participation. Thank you so much. Good night and a happy new year.